Hello, I'm your instructor for classical mythology this summer. My name is Bernard Norcott-Mahany. I have a long background in classics. I majored in classics in college. I got a master's in Greek. I also have a master's in English from those all from different schools. My background is primarily lit crit, so the way I tend to approach mythology and literature in general is sort of through a literary critical lens. That's sort of how I'll look at it. So I'm very big on close readings, for instance, of texts where you sort of look at each word and sort of what it adds to the thing. So you're looking generally at small pieces. The book that we're going to be using will actually show you a bunch of different critical lenses that have been used for mythology or can be used for mythology. And I think that's good because it's good to see how different people, different ways of looking at myth can help, give us some insight as to what myth might mean. And we're separated by 2,000 or more years from the people who originally told these myths, and where that was part of their daily life. So we can't ever fully get to where they were because we don't live in that world, and we don't have all the other stuff that they had that we don't have. So like for instance, if the only movies we had were those that were nominated for Academy Awards in the 5 big categories, we would have a lot of films. We could actually, talk about those films. They would not give us all of film history. There's lots. I mean, for instance, bad movies would be totally ignored, and therefore you wouldn't have any, what happens when it's a clunker. And it's the same thing with Greek mythology. We don't have really the bad stuff. We only have the good stuff, and we only have a small part in many cases of that. So, just want to go over a few things, and I'm going to be doing each week I'll be posting a 15-minute or so mini lecture in which I'll sort of talk about some points that jumped out at me. So it won't be full. You're going to learn a lot more stuff from looking at the book, looking at the material on the instructional website. So the book that we're using is this book here, Classical Mythology in Context by Lisa Mauricio. We are using the first edition. That is the edition that we have been using. The second edition came out this past year, and starting in the fall, we'll be using the second edition. So get the first edition if you possibly can. If you end up with the second edition, you're going to be seeing some stuff that's a little bit different than the stuff that will be in my mini lectures and in the material on the website. I think you should still do okay, but it will be skewed. So what I want to do is I want to just show you what the website looks like. If you can possibly see that, yeah, okay. So this is the student view of the website. I had to do the screenshot so I could hold it up. When you open up the thing for the class, and this is for 351, so if you're in 352, it'll look the same, except it'll say 352, obviously, up top there. But you'll have over on the one side, you'll have right over here, you've got the to-do list, and these are things that are coming up. And it looks like yours is larger than mine. On mine, it's a calendar, not a to-do list, and the calendar only shows what's coming up in the next week. So currently my calendar shows nothing because when I'm doing this, class hasn't started. But I'll be using that also to get the word out as to what you need to do for that week. But you can also find that in the to-do list. So if you ever wonder, look at the to-do list and then find out what needs to be done, what's coming up. Over on the other side of the page, you can see the syllabus. Now, I'm sending you a copy of the syllabus, but as a PDF, but you can also open up the syllabus at any time once you have access to the class on the first day of class. The first 3 assignments, here are 2 of them. One is sort of posting something about yourself. This is a bulletin board. This is how you're going to make posts about your readings during the term. But to give you sort of practice, the first thing you'll do is do the class introductions. You'll post about yourself. You'll respond to a fellow students. That will get you full credit for the class introduction. There's also an orientation quiz, which is basically a quiz based on the syllabus. It's basically, if you do it, I've got some evidence that you actually read the syllabus. I mean, otherwise, I would have to take like one of these videos and just read you the syllabus, which might help you get to sleep, but I don't know that it would do anything else. The other thing is down here. It says class chapter 2 discussion. That's the first discussion bulletin board. It says chapter 2, but you can post on chapter 1 or chapter 2. Chapter 1 is really an introduction to the book. It has some interesting things, like it has a discussion of what is myth. And so it's worth looking at, but you don't need to go through it in much detail. The other thing that I want to point your attention to at this point is two things. One is the thing that says chapter 1 PDF and then chapter 2 PDF. These are both PDFs made from PowerPoints that are based on the Maurizio chapters. So in other words, these are sort of summaries. These will help you review those chapters. And if you have trouble getting the book, like for some reason you don't have the book for the first week, they will give you some information about the chapter so you can make posts, so you can ask questions and that sort of thing. One final thing that I will that you don't see here, but it would be in the module for chapter 2, which has a lot of stuff in it. There will also be the text of Hesiod's Theogony, which is the first Greek work that we'll look at, the Greek work that's addressed in chapter 2. I've got the whole text of the Theogony with notes, so with commentary sort of on it. One of the things that Maurizio, I think is unfortunate. Maurizio could have done that herself, could have provided some sort of commentary where she sort of explains things, like, because there are a couple things in the Theogony. It's like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Well, I at least give you a possible thing what the guy's talking about in some of those. Now, I also will probably have missed some, but it would have been nice, I think, if Maurizio had done that. I think it would have been a service. She did not. And so for each of the Greek readings in the chapters, I have the text. In many cases, it's not the same translation that's in Maurizio's book, because I had to get a text that I could, basically, copy and paste into a Word document where I could then make commentary and then save that as a PDF. I didn't want to have to type the whole thing out by hand and then make the commentary. That would have taken way more time than I was really willing to put in. But there is that. So if you don't have your book, you will have access to Hesiod's Theogony, and you can find plenty of things to talk about in Hesiod's Theogony. The other thing that's also there is, for all of the Greek texts that are in the book, I have read them aloud and recorded myself reading them aloud. So if you do better listening to stuff, you can actually hear the text. I'm a pretty good reader. That doesn't, but I don't have great recording technology. So these are not going to be state-of-the-art, recordings. There are some great recordings of the Iliad, the Odyssey in English, and of Hesiod's Theogony. There's a pretty good one read by Charlton Griffin based on Richmond Lattimore's translation. Those are well worth listening to. But it's going to be maybe tough for you to sort of cue that up to the text. So again, I do have the stuff read aloud. Part of the reason I do that is the Greek names, the names of the heroes, the names of the gods, often I think can be very difficult if you don't have any background in that. I actually got involved in Guerrilla Theater, which was a local theater group that put on Greek plays every June, and right around the solstice. And I actually finally got to act, which was fun, because I had never done that before, and it was getting involved in a play just is great. And if you get a chance to do that, I would say try it, because it really is a blast. And if you're not cut out for it, you'll at least find that out. But I think the experience of having done it, I think, will be valuable in any case. But I got involved in that because I would go to the productions when I first came to town, and their pronunciations of Greek names was way all over the map. A lot of times it was quite wrong. And I was like, I was enjoying their production, but at the same time, I was gritting my teeth every time they said a name. So at any rate, I've got, that's one of the reasons that I also did these readings. So, and one last thing that I will say, the PowerPoints for, I think for Chapter 2 on, I may also have a recording of me doing the PowerPoint that you see before you. And I think I also have links to PowerPoints in the announcements where I posted those on YouTube, and basically, in effect, giving a lecture, on the material. That way, you get some sense of what's going on and of what I consider important. Because obviously, in a PowerPoint, even when based on the text, I'm going to go off on personal tangents just because. I think that's the way professors often are. There's something that they're interested in, and of course they'll talk about that. So you will find out a little bit about the things within mythology that I'm sort of fond of. So again, my name is Bernard Norcott-Mahany. I am your instructor for classical mythology this summer. I hope you enjoy it. It will be a lot of work. I think, I don't know how much time you can spend. What I do recommend that you do is try to spend some time every day. I would suggest an hour a day if you possibly can do that. But even if you can only do a half an hour on some days, doing it every day, getting some part done, I think may help you sustain the load. If you wait and try to do it like, I got Sundays free, what's going to happen is you're going to get involved, and then after about an hour, it's going to be like, oh man, or more likely after 2 hours, oh man, this is too much. And then you're going to put it down, and the point is you'll only have done 2 hours for the week. You won't have got much stuff done, and then you're going to fall behind. And so that would be my recommendation. And with doing the bulletin boards on the reading, my recommendation again would be, don't worry about reading the whole chapter 2, for instance, and then posting. Read for an hour or read even for a half an hour. Make a post on what you read. So jot down some notes, make a post. And then do that. If you do that 3 days running, then you've got your 3 posts done. And then you just have to reply to 2 fellow students. And then that assignment is done. So it's an easy way to stay on top of stuff. It's an easy way to get stuff done early so that you don't have stuff looming on the last day. So that would be my recommendation. It's sort of the way I generally work. I'm in a bunch of book clubs where we read, classic literature of one sort or another. And generally the way I do it is, I know what the next month is. I look at the number of pages of the thing that I have to read and figure out, okay, what's the minimum I have to do every day to get that done. Then I try to sort of double that so that I can finish early, because I don't like to be right up against it. But I find that way I've got pretty good focus for the hour or so that I put on it each day, rather than waiting until the end and then having to do this marathon session where I get tired, cranky, and fail in the job. So we're running up on 15 minutes. These videos I'm trying to keep to 15 minutes or less, and I'll be posting them on YouTube. So you will see this. The class actually doesn't start till the first full week of June, but be ready to hit the ground running, because you will have 3 assignments due in that first week. I think you can get them done, and I don't think any of them is onerous. But you will, if you wait, it's gonna mess things up. So look forward to working with you. I will be responding a fair amount to the bulletin boards. I will be giving you feedback on the other assignments that come up in the test and the essays. You will get feedback on all that stuff. So I think if you're determined, you're going to learn a fair amount. If not, I would say if you're in the class just to fulfill a requirement, do what you can to do it as well as you can, even so. So, see you in June.